Helen, welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Makwariola. For every 60 minutes in Africa, 1 hour passes with the possibility of hearing at least one case of corruption in the news, featuring storylines of malpractice, mismanagement, and relentless abuse of office. In Nigeria, it looks like a season of scandals for a nation stuck between the transgressions of previous administrations and the shortcomings of the present administrators. And so we ask, what are your thoughts on the recent developments in Nigeria as it concerns President Muhammadu Buhari's ongoing fight against corruption? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC News NG. We'll take a report now, and Africa Today will be right back. Welcome on board.
You either kill corruption or corruption will kill your country.
This is one of the quotes that reawaken consciousness to the virus called corruption and the dangers it portends for the nation. These quotes no doubt endeared the masses to the APC candidates at the time, whom they campaigned and voted for in the 2015 election. Most Nigerians quickly joined the bandwagon and the perceived corrupt government was kicked out of power. But few months into the APC-led government, it also got embroiled in webs of scandal of its own, and the people's hope of having a sanitized nation free of corruption seems to be fading away. News of the return and unceremonious reinstatement of the troubled former chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdulrasheed Maina, filtered into the media. The story of Abdulrasheed Maina is such that stirs confusion wherever it is told. This is because of the controversies associated with his name. Trouble started for Maina back in 2012, when himself and former head of service Stephen Orosanye were accused of stealing pension funds recovered from looters. Maina, who suddenly became a wanted hunter by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, fled the country, stressing that his life was in danger. He was placed on the International Police Wanted list after a court issued to the EFCC a warrant for his arrest. His sudden reappearance in the civil service sparked off media outrage, which subsequently got swift reaction from the president, who ordered his immediate disengagement from the service. Many Nigerians are concerned about this state of affairs and the revelation by a presidential aide that he had been in the country for more than a year. They question the deafening silence of the EFCC. All these revelations have got Nigerians talking, and some are worried that the anti-corruption crusade of President Muhammadu Buhari might have been hijacked by corrupt elements.
Despite the determination and doggedness of this administration in the fight against corruption, several alarming and scandalous cases of corruption continues to emerge within the last few years. Now, some perpetrators have been taken to court. Some cases were never investigated, as many of the cases arguably remain unsolved, and reactions continue to trail the anti-corruption war as either perfect or selective. Well, joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Jide Johnson, Deputy Provost, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, and also in one of our Lagos studio, I have Olayinka Daniels, a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Good to have you gentlemen on the program.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Esther. Nice hanging out with you on
great.
this platform.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, let's begin with you now, Jide Johnson. What is your perception on the corruption fight between the past administration and, of course, the present administration?
Well, there's no difference. In our 18 years of democratic experience, I think the administration that had a template, that a policy towards the fight against corruption was Obasanjo administration.
Really?
You recall
Why?
that
Okay.
it was the administration that established EFCC, it was the administration that established ICPC, and it was the administration that saw to the dispensation of justice with the pronouncement of judgment on the former Minister of Interior in person of Sunday Afolabi from Osun State, and the former Inspector General of Police, Tafa Balogun. And, many will argue that, they were political. A lot of governors were impeached. The governor of Plateau State, the governor of Oyo State, the governor of Ekiti State then, and the governor of Bayelsa State were impeached as a result of the anti-corruption drive of that administration. I think after that, what we have seen is we have been paying lip service to the fight against corruption. That's my view, and that's my perception of what is going on concerning the fight against corruption. And if you recall that this present administration came into power on the basis of the fact that they will fight corruption. And some argued, what is the template that you want to use to fight corruption? And as we go on, we begin to unfold the issues.
All right, let's be bringing Olayinka here. Olayinka, do you share the same sentiments? Or let me ask you this. What do you think of what the present administration's fight against corruption?
Well, from the little we have seen, it's more like President Buhari is the only one fighting this so-called corruption, in quote. Yeah, because looking at some of the officials around him, I mean, coming up to tell us, okay, this happened here, that happened there, even in their own corner, as in their own space, what we still have is somebody restating somebody, someone firing someone, and the thing, what we have, seriously, we can't say, the people that Mr. President has surrounded himself with, I cannot categorically state here that they are with him in this fight against corruption.
And so if you think that they're not with him in this fight against corruption, who best is going to do this for us?
Unfortunately, Mr. President has not taken his time to look into his office, to look into the cabinet, because the other time, some of us, we asked for the reshufflement of the cabinet of this administration, and from what we saw at the last APC whatever gathering and the meeting they had, Mr. President is not even going there. Mr. President is telling us he's bringing in some ministers to the cabinet. He's not even thinking about reshuffling the cabinet in any way. And as we speak, if I have people working with me and they don't share the same vision with me, then there's no point them working with me in the first place. So if care is not taken, I can tell you the so-called fight against corruption will be faced with corruption fighting back. And I can tell you, as we speak, this is what we would do all through this administration. And the goodwill that Mr. President has enjoyed from Nigerians, I am telling you, he may lose it at any moment from now, because the people, the populace, the Nigerians are complaining bitterly. And it doesn't seem as if anything is working.
And this is not really good for this administration, because really people really want change. But if we're to talk about change now, and this present government came on the mantra of change, and one of its campaign was to deal with corruption. The issue here, people would say, most Nigerians care to understand, is how strong are these institutions to fight corruption? Because over times now, the prosecution of most corruption cases have really not been diligently prosecuted according to what the courts have been saying for some time. So what would it take now to ensure that corruption cases are tried in the diligent manner that really we have, you know, an end in sight to this?
The Nigerian of today, we don't have any institution, as far as I'm concerned, no strong institution at the moment. One, even the so-called, how do I put it now, the separation of powers. Do we really have separation of powers in Nigeria as we speak? The judiciary is not independent. Legislature is not independent, maybe to an extent, this administration, because legislature, they are not really taking it easy. But can we really say the judiciary is independent? Because if judiciary is independent and an order is made by a court, and an individual or agency refuse to carry out the order or refuse to obey or honor the order of the court, then where are we going? That one in itself is corruption. And if you're fighting corruption, and some, you cannot be firm in your decision as a leader, then it is sad.
All
It
right.
is sad. We can see what is happening in the Mena saga. We can see the outburst. We can see the revelation. We have, these same people are in this government. These same people are working everywhere. I'm telling you today, if the administration leaves and we have another set of government people, another set of people tomorrow, you will be amazed at the rot you will see in Nigeria when it comes to corruption.
All right, let me hold your thoughts now, Olayinka.
Corruption has really eaten deep into the nation.
All right, let me quickly come to Jide to have his thoughts on this. He believes, well, the independent judiciary isn't independent, and of course the institutions aren't strong enough to tackle corruption. But what's your perception, from what he's just said? Do you share the same sentiments?
If anyone says this administration is fighting corruption, the person is playing to the gallery and we're playing the ostrich.
So why aren't we... Okay.
Because there's no single case that has been concluded. There's no single case that has been prosecuted. There's no judgment that has been delivered concerning corruption cases. And we are just playing to the gallery. That's the truth. And truth is bitter. And the truth must be said concerning this present administration. You see, one of the problems we have in Africa is that we believe in personality and not in institutions. Now, we believe in personality and not in institutions. The president as an individual cannot solve the problem. You see, you have society that have developed, you have them, they have strong institutions. For instance, in the United States of America, concerning the last election, the 2016 election, the FBI director, James Comey, then appointed an independent prosecutor in the person of Robert Mueller, who was insulated from politics to investigate the issue. And the first 3 people that were indicted, they were people that had association. The Mueller was not watching the body language. Like we say, the body language of the president. The body. So for us to fight corruption, like he said, we need a strong and virile, independent judiciary.
Indeed.
We need an articulate, independent, people-loving legislature that are interested in fighting. But in a country where the Attorney General is invited by the legislature and he sees himself above the law, that he cannot appear before the committee set up by the Senate, there's no way you can fight corruption, because you need the legislature and you need the judiciary and the executive. There must be a collaborative effort. You don't need a Van Damme, you don't need a Superman, you don't need a Batman. But in Nigeria, we look for a superhero and we think one individual can solve the problem.
But if you talk
the
about
unfortunate thing
here,
is that
okay,
it is even people that have surrounded the superhero
Yeah.
that are faced with issues surrounding corruption. Can you imagine the secretary to the federal government being involved? Oh my goodness.
Okay, if you're talking about collaboration here, well, we'll talk about that when we come back on break. We're watching Africa Today, and we've been looking at the recent developments in Nigeria as it concerns President Muhammadu Buhari's ongoing fight against corruption. We have more discussions on this very topic after this break. Welcome back. Now, among the prominent high-profile scandals that have got Nigerians talking, 2 cases have stood out in recent weeks. One of them is the leaked memo by Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku, on misappropriations worth $26 billion, while the other issue is simply Mena Gate and the alleged 100 billion pension scam. Now, what can you deduce from this, Johnson? Some have said, it's a case of, like you rightly put it initially, playing to the gallery. But some have said it is a case of sensationalism in the terms of the media, not taking the story as it came in the case of Kachiku, and then Mena saying this is more like the work of those who are against him, or who he brought out to be the pension thieves. So what can you deduce from this scenario?
Now, let's take the issue of the Kachiku's letter to the president. Has there been an official response? A refutal, or...
On the part of who now?
From the presidency, because we saw the memo as regards the reservation.
But we know we know that the president met with Kachiku.
Was there an official statement from the presidency or from the president that the matter, we are looking into the matter?
We get to get that.
And it's more than a month ago. And then while we are still battling with that, we had the issue of the reinstatement of Mena. We saw the leaked memo too. And some said the president is not even aware of some of these things. It shows to you that we don't have strong institutions, because we believe that every issue must get to the table of the president. There are institutions that should have dealt with it. Now, the National Assembly need to play a role concerning that. Now, such memo, they should have set up a commission of inquiry. The appointment of a special investigator was because the American Congress was interested in whether there was collusion in the last election by Russia or not. That was what led to the appointment of a special prosecutor. And we need those institutions. It is beyond ministers. It is beyond the Attorney General. It is about institutions. And some of us have argued that, oh, if they said, oh, there was corruption in the past, what are the steps that we are taking now to address those issues? I still wonder, who is the Attorney General of the Federation? Who is the Accountant General of the Federation? Who is the Auditor General of the Federation? That such huge amount of money will leave. And we have not dealt with those issues. We have not dealt with those institutions because we need to insulate the office of the Attorney General of Politics. We need to insulate the office of the Auditor General of Politics. We need to insulate the office of the Accountant General of Politics. That these offices should become insulated from politics, that they can take decisions on their own regardless of whoever is the president. And until we do that, we'll still be in this same cycle. 26 billion, 100 billion, and 200 billion. Money will still keep missing, and we say somebody will come 2019 and we say he wants to fight corruption, which is a nebulous statement without a template on how to fight the corruption.
All right, Olayinka Daniels, let's look at this issue critically once more, because this matter of corruption seems to be a part of us. It's like it can never go away. Because if you look at in the past antecedents, for those who were prosecuted for corruption cases, they were later freed and they were celebrated. So if you're to talk about fighting corruption here, it is more like we're fighting who we are, you know, not to call us corrupt, literally, but is it like it's something that it's more than, you know, fighting, using institutions to tackle when the people themselves aren't ready to be changed?
Well, let's take it this way. One, what we are fighting today is not corruption. What we are fighting today is the fruit corruption has yielded. So when we talk about fighting corruption and we have not dealt with the root, which it has gone into people, we ourselves, we had become corrupt species as an individual when it comes to Nigerian populace. To the list, to that security man at the gate that tells you, oh, you're welcome, sir, and all that because he's expecting something from you. To that man that opens the door of an eatery for you because he expects something and is greeting you profusely. It has eaten deep into us. At every, okay, look at this, the Mina Gate and the revelation of all the people that are taking money left and right that is not known to anyone. One, because it's a primitive society, very uncivilized society for that matter. The truth is, the so-called corruption propaganda, I'll call it, is a scam. We are not serious. We are not ready to fight the so-called corruption we are talking about. Year in, year out, day in, day out, we see things happening in this country. Not single one. Like you said, Esther, we have been celebrated. It has become part of us as an individual, as Nigerians. You see these same people, when they go out of this country, they do well anywhere they find themselves. But once they come into the system, why? Because in the first place, we don't have any system. So we can't talk about institution. It is where you have a working system. That is when institution is solid, and that is where you have a working institution. We have individuals doing his own things, running his own show, playing his own game in Nigeria. And if we continue this way, I can tell you we are going nowhere. We are only beating around the bush. It is a pure scam. We are deceiving ourselves. This one will come and take his own and go. Another one will come and deceive the populace because we are all the same.
So what kind of punitive measure, Olayinka?
Sorry?
What kind of punitive measure do you think would help us in this case?
One, we have to be a patriot first. We must see Nigeria as a nation, as our own nation, and not Bibio, because when it comes to corruption, sorry, let me say this, when it comes to corruption, there's no Fulani, there's no Hausa, there's no Igbo, there's no Yoruba, there's no Christian, there's no Muslim, no religion, no ethnic, no whatever when it comes to these people stealing money. Like the vice president said earlier, he says stealing knows no ethnic, no religion whatsoever. So now, if we are patriots, if we see our nation and we want the nation to move forward, we will ask ourselves one simple question. What do I want from this country? Do I want this country to be known for this or to be known for that? Then we start from ourselves, from our Jerusalem, from our own, from your own house as a family, as an individual. Then from up to tail, then we can, if everybody check himself or herself, this money is not your own. Why do you want to take it? This money is for a particular project. Why do you want to divert it? If we can be concerned about Nigeria, about our nation, and moving it forward, if that is our paramount aim in this country and our paramount goal to see Nigeria succeed, then maybe corruption will subside.
All right.
We'll be talking about something else.
All right. I think I totally agree with Olayinka here. What do you have to say about this?
You see, when the lawmaker are the lawbreaker, when you have a society where the police is driving against the traffic, when the governor that you and I and the president that you and I elected, who are our representative, are using siren to chase us out of the road, they are being driven by dispatch riders, and they are using tinted glasses, and they use all of those. Who do you think they use that to carry in civilized society? Criminals. It is criminals they use siren and what have you to carry. So when the lawmakers are the lawbreaker, what do you want the citizen to learn from? Now, until we run leadership, and leadership is about service, when our leaders, and I wonder, because I've read this book by the present ruler of Dubai, Mohammed Rashid bin Al Maktoum, that said that they walk without siren in the midst of their people. And our people go to Dubai. He said the people understand that they love them and they are serving them. Until we embrace the basis of service, the principle of service and leadership, we will not solve the issue of corruption.
But let's not forget that charity begins at home as well.
Because the bottom line is, let me tell you, we are in trouble in this country. An average youth on the street, if they mention money, I have a 15-year-old, when he talks about 20 million, you will be shocked at the way with which they talk about money, because they've seen a system collapse. Because we've seen that we run an imperial government where when people have access to power, they will use that power to oppress the people that elected them to represent them. And until we have a national reorientation concerning what leadership is all about, concerning policemen not driving against the traffic, concerning the governor not stopping me from using the road because he wants to use the road, the governor that I elected that is serving me, those are corruption. Those are the basis.
But that's
and leadership starts from that level. And when you have that, I'm telling you, you start dealing with the issue of corruption.
All right. Quite a heated one there from you. Thanks a lot to Jide Johnson for analysis. And of course, Olayinka, Daniel Selected, thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of the program today.
Thank you.
Well, in a continent, integrity is fast becoming a scarce commodity. The menace of crookedness in Africa has grown to become an institution sustaining poverty, obstructing development and ensuring exclusion at all levels. While corruption is being fought and continues to fight back, advocacy, action and prosecution will go a long way in breaking the circle where politicians steal from the poorest of the poor in the society. Well, that is our package for today. But don't forget to join the conversation as usual on Twitter at TVC News NG, and follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one, I am Esther Mokwariola, and always remember, change starts with you.